This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
Financial headlines, well, what's new? They're full of negative news about credit downgrades for the U.S. and a number of banks, but how does this really impact you? How can you stay on track for retirement, that retirement you've been dreaming about? Thank you for joining us for Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity, here with Scott McLean. And a Scott McLean of McLean Advisory Group, a little bit hobbled because recently had knee reconstruction surgery. Had to skip a recording last week so you could get taken care of there, Scott. But seriously, knee reconstruction, I know a lot of folks out there can relate to that. And it's only been a short time for you since that surgery, so I know you haven't totally reaped the benefits of it. But
well, it's been a week. I got surgery on last Tuesday, and it was in a day stay, and then go home, and I get to take the good adult beverages, the not the wine and cheese, I should say, the drugs and please.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then, of course, I spoke to so many clients that have had it, and oh yeah, Scott, it works great. This is like 6, 9, 12 months after. But of course, it is a serious surgery. If anybody's about to have it, I use Rothman Institute. Wonderful job. I was a no risk, meaning I don't have to stay overnight. So I went right home that same day and checked out. And boy, they give me this epidural. It's almost like the stock market. They give you the epidural. So in other words, you get your plan taken care of.
Right.
And everything seems fine until 3 days later, and the epidural works out. It's supposed to be like a nerve blocker. I'm thinking I can conquer the world. I'll be in. I told my staff, look, I'll be in tomorrow. And obviously my staff's yelling at me, you got to stay home. Look, I'm going great. I'm unbelievable. Boy, I tell you what, about 1 o'clock in the middle of the night, it's almost like the fire alarm went on in my leg, and I'm just freaking out. So almost like your portfolio, you think you set it and forget it. This is a very dangerous time when it comes to money, just like the knee surgery.
Yep.
By the way, I heard from a client of mine. She said, Scott, when you're getting knee surgery, please don't get any dental work done. I like, what the heck are you talking about? Just a lovely client. And she said, well, her fiance was getting knee surgery, had the knee surgery, but then went in for a surgery on his tooth, had to have it extracted. Apparently, it got infected and went to his knee, and he got sepsis, which they had to do the whole knee over again. So this is like, it's like one investment can affect the other investments. Well, one pain can affect the rest of the planes, and these are things you don't even ask and talk about when you get your surgery. You just want to get out of the pain. So
right,
we're on the first week. Today actually in our show. Today is our first day out of the house and moving and grooving, and all I do is set my little skinny butt down in the office and talk to people.
Well,
so I'm good to go.
I'm glad you're on the other side of it, my friend. Good luck with your recovery. All that water skiing finally caught up to you, I suppose.
It did catch up. Well, exactly.
Well, if something resonates with you today, whether knee surgery related or otherwise, the number for Scott, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646, if you have any questions for Scott. But talking about the current state of the economy, the effect on pre-retirees, retirees, what should we think about the country's financial situation in regards to our own finances, Scott?
You know, Alex, if we watch the TV, we're going to get troubling information and news. If we watch all that's going on, whether it's the indictments, whether it's Republican, Democrat side, we're watching the stock market. Is the market too hot? Inflation's soaring. Is it going to slow down? Are things going to get better? That's what we all think about. And it's almost like this knee surgery. Will they get better? Yeah, well, based on history, on talking to other clients, and based on there are complications that could come from it. But if I stay focused and work out and keep my knee operating, if I keep staying focused on the markets, I can be really proactive. But if you're not proactive in your investments right now is the time that you could watch the cards fall. I mean, one day you see the banks falling apart, then the banks are getting better. We see interest rates are screaming, and now are they slowing down? If they're slowing down, is it time to lock in a bond for a long-term duration? Could this be a great period to lock into some bonds, some very solid bonds, and enjoy the ride? Because if interest rates start to go down in another 6 months to 8 months, you could be locking into a very nice interest rate. And like many of you listening to me right now, had you either refinanced your house a couple of years ago at maybe 2.25%, 3%. Well, you won. Would you refinance it now? No, you wouldn't, because interest rates are screaming. Just like pain of knee surgery, just like pain of any kind of surgery you're going through, there are ramifications. This is why you cannot set and forget it. When you look at the banking debacle, when everything looked good and all of a sudden things change. This is why if you don't have an advisor right now or not leaning on your advisor, you need some great, stable, strong products in this crazy environment. And this is where I see problems, Alex. So often I see the problem is that I was talking to George today, as people invest in, let's say they want to have safer type of money. Well, if you have safer type of money, and here it is, 8 months into the 2023. And if you show this show later, Alex, you're going to understand. People understand even better. Looking back, the market was in the crapper. It came back. But if you were in fixed instruments back then, you would have been down, but you would have received a nice dividend payment. The dividend payment didn't make up the lossage in the market. Why? Because tech stocks took off. So let's say you're a conservative investor, and I don't want to mess this up, because if you're a conservative investor, stay with your game plan. If you're an aggressive investor, meaning you want to play in the market, okay, stay with that game plan. But when you start shifting from game plan to game plan to game plan, it's almost, you're like almost timing the market, and that never works. It never works, because I can tell you right now, the market has been soaring after the doldrum of 2022 and took a little hit until March 2023, and now has soared back. The question is, where are we going next? This is a time to lean not unto your own understanding, but those who do this for a living, who are really looking out for your best areas. And that's what's so concerning.
Well, and that's a great point, Scott. And the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646 at a.com for the website there for McLean Advisory Group. But you made a great point, because you hear about all this news and it can make you feel or think a certain way. And to me, and I'm sure you agree, that's why it's so important to work with a retirement professional. They can help you focus on enjoying that retirement rather than worrying about all this financial news.
Yeah, and I think when you're at a dinner table with your friends, and you're sitting there having a game of canasta or mahjong, or just having a soda pop with your buddies and dinner or whatever, and you're talking about the markets, and let's say they are an aggressive investor and you're a conservative investor, and they're talking about how great the market is. Well, now your brain starts to wonder, how come mine isn't? Forgetting what the goal was. What your goal was could be totally different than, well, your friend's goal. So if you were out like myself, water skiing, I competed all over. I did jumping, I did the air, I did the spins in the air, I jumped off ramps, I barefooted, I did everything. I was a crazy. That was my drug of choice, was skiing. Well, the ramifications is now all the pain from all my accidents, but that's not bad.
Sure.
The question is, what is the goal? The goal back then. What's the goal now? As you get older, your goals will shift. And as we see the markets, Alex, we see the downgrading. We see the credit rating, the AAA credit rating of the banks and the world economy. We're seeing a lot of things happen. And if you keep your eyes focused on the news, it's going to drive you to snooze. And so don't sit back and relax, and make sure you're staying with your advisor. If you don't have one, you know what? Maybe you need to do some more studies and read on your own, understand what's going on. This is a very dainty time. If you're looking for advisors, you're more than welcome to give our studios a call. Ask me off the air. I won't try to get your business. Just ask me questions. because I can tell you there's many people who've called in from our show, Alex. We've spoken to so many people, and I'm not here to grab your money. If you're looking for an advisor, great. That's secondary. What's most important is understanding, do I need financial surgery? Do I need to really optimize my portfolio? Do I really need to change my investment plan? Do I need new knees in my plan? Do I need a back? Or what do I need that will make me feel comfortable during this ride? Because everybody wants to make money, but no one wants to lose money. If someone likes, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And that's the stock market. And so if you're going to play in this world, understanding what's going on, the credit ratings, what with the financial crisis in 2008, and many of you are saying, okay, this will never come down. The subprime mortgages took a crash. I remember going through that with many people. I did a bunch of shows right here right here in Waretown, and to a bunch of schools I went on to, talking about the bank debacles, what was happening back then, the subprime mortgages, and again, why banks were failing. I think education is so important. Education not swayed to do business with you, but swayed to educate you. There's a big difference. I could sway people into doing business with me just by tweaking words, and it sounds good. But you need to understand what those words mean to you as a conservative investor versus words to you out there if you're an aggressive investor. What is the risk you're facing in either one of these areas? And I can tell you this is really important, Alex. If you've got a question, by the way, out there, Alex, I don't know if I said this, please feel free to give me a call off the air. I'd love to talk to you. Bonnie can make it happen. 609-488-4646. Give me a call off the air. Bonnie will make it happen for you. I know I got several calls when I was out for the week, and I'm trying to get all those people back now because I wasn't really in my right mind. The adult beverages or drugs was good. But 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you, guide you. And if I'm unable to call you right away, please, Bonnie will make that happen. Why go to bed when you have this pressure on your back or on your shoulders? Why run a marathon when you're holding an extra 15 pounds? No, let's lose the weight of the worries of the market.
That is a great point. And honestly, if you're out there, maybe you're working with someone, but maybe you haven't heard from them for a while, or maybe you're not confident that the plan you have in place is the right one. Great time for a second opinion as well. 609-488-4646 to reach Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. Real quickly here, Scott, very important stuff here. I have a question for you. How do you organize an astronaut's retirement party?
I don't know. You got to plant something. Plant it?
You plant it.
Oh,
there you go, Steve. You were getting there.
I'll pull that out of my tailbone.
There you go. Very good. Well, when we come back here on Financial Insanity, we're going to be talking about 4 keys to a comfortable retirement. And for a final time, that number is 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Thank you so much for joining us today. Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
Frankly, you could have your grandkids tweet out to your friends or go on the Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is and say, I got great information from Scott.
And you left out TikTok there as you're rambling off
that's right.
the different social media being used by the kids today. You got to remember that TikTok.
Oh, that's right. Tickety-tock.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Who is most likely to be comfortable and confident with their retirement? Doesn't that sound nice? Well, there are a few things you can do to help secure your financial future. Scott with us to break it all down. Let's start here. As the Employee Benefit Research Institute did do a study, found that retirees who say they feel comfortable in retirement have done the same 4 things. How about that? So we're going to share those 4 keys with you all today. The first one is going into retirement with little or no debt.
Boy, you know what? This is the biggest challenge I face. I had a beautiful couple come in yesterday. They were 80 and 84. They had $50,000 to their name. And I asked them, how long you've been retired? Oh, Scott, we retired in 2003. Oh, I'm so excited for you. Almost what's that, 20 plus years? And tell me about your situation. They had a $200,000 mortgage. They were spending, as she said, well, Scott, we're only spending out of our accounts $1,000 a month. And so I'm thinking, okay, and we're living our Social Security. So I bought that. I bought into that. And I said, do me a favor. Could I see your tax return? This is where the 3 blind mice come in, Alex. I asked to look at the tax return. Alex, the tax return showed me they were pulling out $24,000 a month.
Oof.
They had $50,000 left. I had to give them the bad news. And I said, well, how long have you been with your advisor? Oh, we've been with him since 2003, 2004, when we retired. I said, when he or she got with you on a yearly basis to explain how money works and how your money's going to last, what did they say? And they said, well, they just said, move my money around. Alex, they had their money in the stock market.
Yep.
And it risky. And they were down 20% year to date, 20%. I said, well, wait a minute. Last year, the market was up almost 20%. So you were spending the earnings. I didn't tell them what I was seeing on the tax return, Alex. If you have a tax return, number one, and you have debt, pay attention. Because when I looked at the tax return, I looked at the debt situation. I said, you guys are taking out $2,000 a month out of your savings. You have a $200,000 mortgage. And when you pass away to the lovely young man of 84 years old, I said, if you pass away, your wife is going to have to make some serious decisions. And so the serious decision is you got to sell the house, you got to downsize, you got to move in with the kids. But no one had that, I call it a come to Jesus meeting. Let's talk about the brass tacks. If you have debt right now, let's focus on it. And when you pay down debt, you don't pay down the highest interest rate. The biggest mistake is you pay the highest interest rate card when you should write this down. If you're listening, if you can remember one thing right now, just one thing, rolling debt. I want to roll down or pay down my debt through the snowball effect of paying down debt. This is critical. If you need help on that and you have debt, please feel free to call me off the air, 609-488-4646. Scott, when you say snowball, how do I snowball my debt? How do I pay it off quicker? Please call me. Unlike this couple I had, they didn't call me at 609-488-4646. What they did was they kept living the same life, and the financial advisor in their life never guided them through all of the areas, looking at the tax returns, the legal documents, as well as their portfolio. So snowball debt. Number 2, the most important, of course, paying down your debt. The most important thing, of course, is paying off as you snowball down the debt. How much cash do we have in the sideline? I asked this lovely couple. Oh, we have a couple $1,000, but we pay our bills off every month. Well, we just refinanced, Scott. Oh, is that to pay back the credit cards? Yes. How much in credit card debt do you have now? They said $8,000 in credit card debt. So what they're doing is they're using their credit card. They don't feel the impact of the debt until it comes due. Then they pull the money out of the IRA accounts, causing more taxation. This is double dumb. So please, Alex, you brought a big point on the first thing in retirement. Let's take a look at the debt. Let's go ahead and have a wrestling match with the debt. And let's go ahead and get this in control.
And we're talking here today with Scott McLean about the 4 keys to a comfortable retirement. And Scott, I must say, I saw you on TV the other day. Obviously know about the radio show. We know about the book. You're everywhere, but it's very important to you to educate people and just talk about that, Scott, about getting in front of people and why you think that that's important.
I think that's my calling, Alex. I love educating people. My one area was heading out into the field, the mission field, and of course, called into this financial industry. And what I found is the lack of knowledge people have, and they need guidance. They don't need to be told. I am my favorite class, Alex. You'll never guess what it was. It was show and tell. Because I could talk about something, show people things, and show them how it works. And I was in kindergarten when my daddy brought back, children all over the world, and he traveled. He opened up plants and spoke 6 languages. My dad was brilliant. And one thing I waited for is when he got home and he opened his bag, he showed me presents. And when he gave me a present, gave my sister a present, I was able to use that to show and tell. Show and tell is important because I need not to tell people what to do, but guide them into making smart decisions with their money when it comes to retirement. This is where the lost art of advising is. People want to sell, but they don't want to educate. They want to tell, but they don't want to walk them through the valley of shadow of death because they think everything's okay. But meanwhile, they've got a left hook wave coming at them that could disaster them, as the young couple I just spoke about. And I had to tell that young couple we just spoke about, Alex, that you need to sell your house, go to low-income housing, use that money, or move in with your kids. I guarantee you, they probably don't like me. And if they're listening right now, I love you. I'm giving you tough love because comfort, sometimes you have to sacrifice comfort for how do I make sure that if my wife passes away, if I pass away, husband passed away in this case, how can they survive and enjoy life? Isn't that what it's about, Alex?
Absolutely. No, 100%. And the less you have to worry about, the better. And one of the things we worry about the most, run out of money in retirement. That's a real concern. 609-488-4646. And so talking about 4 keys to a comfortable retirement. First one, going into retirement with little or no debt. That sounds tremendous. The second key to a comfortable retirement, having a clear spend down strategy. Scott, what does that mean?
Spend down strategy. Not only spending down your debt, but spending down your expenses. Alex, if you're out there right now listening, I'm not preaching to you. I promise you I'm not. I'm trying to help guide people make smart decisions. And spend down means, well, maybe to me, it means something important. Can I live on a lower means? If you're living on, let's say, $100,000, and then all of a sudden you look at your retirement, you think you have a ton of cash in there, and the advisor says using the rule of 4%, well, do you have enough to live comfortably? Maybe you need to start cutting things out. Some people have said, well, I'm going to go ahead and just buy one car this year, and my wife and I, or my spouse and I, my significant other and I, we can use one car. Maybe it's not going out as much. Maybe it's sharing, and as we did in our church, go have a covered dish dinners and all get together and still have fun, or maybe have people come over and share. Spending down. Maybe you don't have to buy as much clothes. Maybe getting a smaller house, as we're talking to many people. So spending down strategy and paying attention to the numbers. Both spouses need to get together and look at what they're spending and put a spreadsheet together. If you don't want a spreadsheet, because no one likes the cuss word, the B cuss word called budget. No one wants a budget, but I can promise you this. When you're coming off a juicy income and now you're retiring, you need to sit down and figure out what can we live with, what can't we live with. And the biggest cuss word is this, Alex. The biggest cuss word on top of the word budget is no. When your kids want to borrow money from you and you're spending money, this couple was telling me, well, my lovely child was getting a divorce, so we helped him out. What'd you do? Well, we paid her debt down. Is that where the money went? Yeah, a lot of it did. We wanted to help her. I said, why'd you do that? Because that's our child. We wanted to help out. Well, the emotions and practicality, I'm not telling you guys to hate me on the radio right now, but you got to look at this is about you and your love. If you're married, your lovely wife or partner, you've got to pay attention. You've got to pay attention to your money. And as you look at your money, can we afford giving our child $10,000, $20,000 to pay their debt down? What does that look like? If you don't have a financial advisor, run the numbers several different ways. But if you don't have an advisor and want to ask a question, please feel free to call me off the air, 609-488-4646. The reason why is because you might just need another opinion. I'm not going to tell you what to do if you decide to call me at 609-488-4646. But what I'll do is I'll give you my input. And 41 years being in this industry, I've seen a lot of people make decisions that maybe they should have asked somebody else, because I can tell you the decisions you make today may affect you, like in this couple, and it's affecting them right now. They could be running out of money. Don't put yourself in this situation, Alex. They don't have to do it. Feel free to give me a call if you wish to, but I want to help you.
Like, Scott, a lot of times it's just that big picture. It's just not being able to see the big picture, and you wanting to solve that problem right now, wanting to help that person in the immediate, wanting to satisfy this desire right now. But Scott, it's really about the big picture and how it all comes together. You couldn't have
said that better, Alex. And when I see the big picture, it happened to me yesterday when I was heading to the office, and I asked my wife, where I need to get where's the napkins I got to take with me as I'm driving to work from the farm out in Southampton. And I said, where's the daggum napkins? And she goes, Scott, it's right in front of you. There's a big roll of napkins in this.
Right in front of your face, Scott.
It was, Alex, it was dead. I mean, like, I'm looking all over the place.
Sure.
I'm running to go out. I want to be on time. And it was right in front of me. If your retirement is right in front of you, you probably need someone to run it by, because they are able to. If they're an advisor, they should not be wanting to sell you products. They should be wanting to help solve a problem or a solution or a problem that may be coming down. This is the difference between an advisor and a salesperson. Why? Advisors should be looking at the taxes, the legal, and the financial, and then possibly problems coming down the road. And so I can tell you right now, Alex, when you look at the spend down, if you've been doing this thing as long as I have, and other advisors out there, they've been doing it a while, the question is, how are you getting guided? Not sold a product, because anybody can sell a product, but educated on what to do. You don't want to buy sneakers when it's snowing out. You probably want to buy boots. Unless you're going to play basketball in the gym, then you might want sneakers. But again, buy the right tools for the right time.
609-488-4646. If you have questions, you can call Scott, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website. Breaking down the 4 keys to a comfortable retirement. More financial insanity on the way.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
A study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute finding retirees who consider themselves to be comfortable in retirement have done the same 4 things. And so, Scott, first, let's recap. The first 2 keys to a comfortable retirement we went over. Number one, going into retirement with little or no debt. And then number
Beautiful.
two, creating a clear spin down strategy. So, taking us to the next key, having some sort of employer provided assistance. Talk about that one a little bit, Scott.
You definitely want to get the employer provided assistance like your 401k. If you have a 401k, make sure you're matching it. You might have a 403b, which is a nonprofit, same as working as the 401a. And you want to make sure the money's put in the right investment choice, especially now. In addition to that, if you're, I think it's 59 and a half and older, you're allowed to do what's called a in-service withdrawal. Most plans offer an in-service withdrawal. Let me give you a heads up. Based on the stock market taking a real challenging time this past year, and perhaps going forward for another few years, I believe. Perhaps if you're in retirement, you're planning on retirement, you take that money in the 401k, 403b, if you're over 59 and a half, and you roll it out of the plan and put it into some guaranteed accounts. That's right. Or put it into an area, let's say roll it into an IRA. And as you roll it over into an IRA, you still contribute to your 401k, 403b, 457, your TSP. Still keep contributing. But on the money that you pull out and put into IRA, you have the universe of investments to go into. Let me tell you what a universe means. You're not just stuck to the, quote, portfolio they offer, the mutual funds they offer. You're able to go outside into an IRA account, and in this IRA account, you're able to get individual stocks, bonds, preferreds, REITs, BDCs, MLPs, all sorts of yummy types of investments. Maybe you're going to buy managed futures or hedge funds or maybe commodities. You need to be able to, I should say, flexible and able to go when in most of these plans, they don't have it. The second thing is on top of that, maximizing your 401k out and then doing an in-service rollover to perhaps other vehicles out there that are perhaps they've got some guaranteed vehicles like I've seen lately of 5% and going up. Maybe you need to participate in the prepaid legal plan because you need your legals done. Perhaps you get a prepaid legal plan that's very pennies on the dollar, or maybe you're going to go into the, I think it's called the Hyatt legal plan. Great product. See if they have that. And I would definitely look at that to keep your legal expenses down. For your will, power of attorney, living will, healthcare directive. Maybe you need a trust. So your legal aspects. And from that, we talk about your healthcare savings account, your HSA. As long as it's portable or you're using it for yourself, the spouse, make sure the HSA is funded, or the FSA. The FSA is called the flexible spending account. I love when I see people are really cranking that up, because they're cranking it up means putting money into it as long as you can take it with you. You don't want to put it in and then lose it. So you might need to speak to your department there at your work and to see if it's, I don't want to use it or lose it. You don't want that plan. Unless you have a lot of medical expenses, then you're tax deferring the money. In other words, you get to write it off on your income. And so you make $50,000 a year and you put $10,000 a year in the HSA. That means your income shows you made $40,000. It's just a tax play. So when your financial advisor looks at the tax return, he or she can guide you. Again, look at all the different areas when we talk about the employer benefit information, as Alex, you well said. And then again, what is your definition of comfortable? When you retire, get that number we just spoke about. Understand, you know what? You've lived rich, you've lived poor, but you're comfortable. What is your definition of comfortable? Not your kid's definition, not your best friend's definition, your definition of comfortable.
Talking about 4 keys to having a comfortable retirement. And we just went over the having an employee-provided assistance. We're discussing a pension. And if we're talking about having guaranteed income, you got to throw out Social Security as well. So that can be an option for folks. And how do we make sure people are making the right decision there, Scott?
Alex, I forgot that. Thanks for bringing it up, because we do Social Security planning.
I mean, it's a good detail.
Planning.
Yeah, it's part of it, though, right?
And the mistake they could make is the couple. I got off the phone with this couple this morning at 8:30. And this couple, his wife is taking Social Security. She is 72. And her income right now on her Social Security, and I've spoken to this couple several times, she is receiving right now $1,800 a month on her Social Security, and she's 72. Her husband, we were doing this meeting this morning. Her husband is 68, still working, not taking Social Security. And I asked him, I said, why aren't you taking the spousal benefit? See, he can claim the spousal benefit. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm looking at my notes, and every year I've been asking you about this, take the spousal benefit because you do qualify, because the laws have changed on Social Security. Well, she was getting $1,800 a month. He is past the full retirement age, FRA. If you look it up on your statements, guys and girls out there. Well, hers was $1,800. Did you know? And I said, why don't you apply for the spousal benefit, not your benefit, right now? And I'd like you to right now go ahead and you're able to take $800 extra a month. Keep working, but you're having extra $800. Now put that in your 401k, in his case, the FSA. And I said, increase your savings. He said, I could do that because of all of the choices that you have in Social Security. By the way, Alex, there's 587 different ways to take Social Security. Can you imagine how people get confused?
Yeah.
And the number one way, Alex, versus the number two could mean an extra $100,000 of income over one's lifetime. So choosing the right Social Security when you go into retirement, this is like the three-legged stool: cash in the bank, savings or retirement account and pension money, and then, of course, your Social Security. Those three entities, and I throw in one other entity, which is not the leg, but taxation. How can I make my retirement the most comfortable for my spouse, my significant other, my partner? How can I make that? And this is where you have to look at your investments, your savings. Maybe you want to move and build that new house. Let's take a look at the whole picture, not just one piece of the picture, which I see these daggum investment guys and girls. They look at one thing, what can I get versus how can I help?
Well, and again, it's that big picture, Scott, like we mentioned earlier. It's how everything plays together. And when you're making your Social Security decision, it's the big picture as well. Yeah, one thing might look real good in the immediate or in a couple years, but over the long haul, what is going to make the most sense? And so as we wrap up this segment here, give people an opportunity. If they have questions, how can they get a hold of you, Scott?
Please feel free to call me, 609-488-4646. That's my radio studios. You'll get me. Now, if you don't get me, please, when you call 609-488-4646, speak to my staff. They are wonderful. And say, I'd like to speak with Scott. I know he's busy because we're servicing our clients. They're number one. Tell them you want to speak to Scott and give them a quick heads up what it's a little bit about. And I will make time to speak to you off the air in a private conversation, or perhaps you would like say, Scott, I want to come in and have a come to Jesus meeting. Okay, great. Bring you and your significant other if you're married, or you maybe have a partner. Come on in, here to help you.
Scott McLean and the amazing team at McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646.com if you want to see them online as well. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. More on the way.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement, no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. 4646. That's 609 488 4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609 488 4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
News, tips, the financial tricks, all right here.
It's the kind of dazzle we need around here.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
Scott, like you know, retirees face a lot of choices when they get into retirement. It can be hard to make the financial decisions, the final ones, and there's a lot of them. And, well, there's going to be questions of what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. Also, tough financial questions as well. It's kind of like the longest game of Would You Rather that you're ever going to play. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean. The number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. All right, first big question here, Scott. Would you rather never be stuck in traffic again or never get another cold?
Never get another cold because I don't travel that much, and if I do, I'm expecting it. So colds kind of make me slow down, and I don't like that's worse than slowing down the car because I know there's an ending sight with that. I don't know if there's ending sight with cold. So
Yeah,
cold it is, baby.
there it is. That's a wise choice. All right, so when you're thinking about your own retirement, would you rather have coffee in the peace and quiet of your patio every morning, or coffee with your closest friends at the coffee shop? What's it look like for you?
I like being by myself in the morning. It's nice and quiet, but I do love being around people. And when I was thinking about something like this, and I'm out by myself, my family's down in Ocala, they're enjoying the horse competitions. I like being by myself. I can just think, but I went out to eat went by myself and had a lunch. So I guess it is. I don't know how to answer that question, Alex.
Yeah.
Is it every day? Well, probably I would like to be by myself, but every now and then I just want to be around people. I love people, love watching people.
Yeah. Well, and it's just something to think about, right?
Hard.
Because, you transition into retirement, and that might be your reality, and maybe that doesn't sound like a huge dilemma, but that could be the question that's posed. Am I drinking this by myself? Am I going out to be social? And so it's just the different things that maybe you didn't think about beforehand, and now these are definitely some issues that you're going to work out with having all that time. Yeah, absolutely.
It does affect your walk, because if you're going to go out to eat a lot, because, this COVID, I had this conversation with some families, and this COVID really not destroyed, but really affected their children.
Yeah.
Because the kids, one child had to stay at home, and here it is a year later, and they saw that. This guy is very, very well off, and we were very, very close. And I just see, we need that stimulation. That's what we are. We're like a pack of horses. We have to be together with others. And so, but we also need that down and quiet time. This is really important. And when you get stuck in that igloo, for those of you listening, right, maybe you didn't make the financial decisions because you're afraid to make them. Maybe your husband passed away. Maybe your wife passed away, and you're afraid to make a decision a year later. Boy, now is not the time to put your head in the sand because your vitals are exposed. Don't do that. Get some advice. And again, this is a very simple, not a simple question. Actually, it's a hard question, but get around people that have been around in the business long enough that can help guide you to make smart decisions. Because you know what? Life has so much to give. We're so blessed to have what we have, and we're thankful to the God above to giving us everything we have. And being, whether it's quiet by ourselves with other people, this is our blessing that we can choose. But be hiding yourself, not good.
Scott, how can people get a hold of you?
If you want to get a hold of me, I'd love to hear from you. 609-488-4646. Give me a call. Write down your questions. Make our time valuable. No cost, no obligation. I'll make time for you. Just ask for Bonnie at 609-488-4646. She handles my schedule. We are busy as a beaver, but I'd love to talk to the audience, and we're getting a lot of questions. I think, Alex, you might have some questions later on in our segments that people have questions, and we can try to answer them later on.
Absolutely. Always great to send those in. Bonnie is fantastic. 609-488-4646. Playing Would You Rather today on Financial Insanity. And one last one here for you, Scott. Would you rather create a legacy and estate plan or have your family sort of kind of figure everything out after you're gone?
We want to create an estate plan. That's easy. There's nothing worse than the crows and the clowns showing up at the funeral. There's nothing worse than not having planned out. And so that is the solid answer for anybody who comes in with me, Alex. That's frankly how I start the conversation. I just want to know, hey, tell me where all these goodies that you've just saved up, where they go? Oh, it goes to my wife. It goes to my husband. Okay, then what? My kids. How's it going to go there? Equally. What happens if a kid dies? Why are you asking those questions, Scott? And I can get that over and over because the money that you've worked so diligently, so hard, you fought, you scrapped, you clawed, you went to bed at night. Some of you when you were younger and you maybe cried because their money wasn't coming in. You couldn't meet ends meet, and here you are now in a better position. The no planning, disaster.
Well, and Scott, we talked about overlooking the impact of taxes in retirement. This is another thing that people often overlook, and you can see why. It's painful to talk about some of this stuff, but you just have to. And it's the kind of thing where they can come into you and you can help have that conversation in an effective and efficient way.
Well, the neat thing about coming in and meeting with somebody, whether it's in person or over the phone, Alex, is that, I'm not in your world. For those of you listening, I'm not in your world. I can hear what's going on, but as a third party out of your world, you're going to get some sound advice for over 40 plus years in this industry of maybe what things you can do and what you can look at. I don't dictate or tell people what to do unless it's really off color. But I want to make sure that if you're planning for your retirement, when money lasts a good long time, you look at your estate, you look at your taxes, there are some things that you need to do immediately. Now, if you don't, that's up to you. It's almost like if you had a sickness and a cold, doctor prescribes some medication, you're the first one down the drugstore. You're going to buy that daggum pills and those medication. You're grabbing a bottle of water and you're popping the water and the pills as soon as you get them. Well, this is where you need to take action. And most problems come from the word procrastination, putting it off till the last minute. And as we spoke about earlier, if you were to pass away and they did no planning, the crows and the clowns, they're going to show up and try to get a piece of your money that they don't deserve. Plan now. Don't put this off.
That's no way to talk about your in-laws, Scott. Wait, come back. 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And we have time for one more question, and this is a good one this time of year. Hearing this a lot, I'm sure. Do you help people with Medicare is the question. I've been getting a lot of mail and phone calls about it, and it's really overwhelming.
Medicare has so many questions, but Obama actually came up with a simple plan. Whether you like him or not, they came up with a simple plan. The question is when you pick the right products, and this is where you really want to make your decisions on picking the Medicare plan. And then, of course, what plan's the best for you? Everybody's different. And then what is the best prescription plan to go? And so you can go on the website and look that up to find out what kind of medication you're taking. So it seems like an easy answer, but it's not. You could get from Gerber, remember Gerber baby food, and of course, the Mutual of Omaha. Well, those are still plans out there. And there's some really good ones out there. People call us all the time. They want to find out what they can change to. Frankly, we're going to be building a department just for that area because people need those help. And very simple, but it's not simple. Simple is not always easy. I promise you that.
Yep. That is for sure. Well, Scott, take us home here. Final thoughts as we wrap up today's program.
Guys, working in this industry now, I think of the past going on 41 years now, you've got questions. And the challenge I find in our industry is maybe you leave the questions on the shelf and you forget about them and you don't ask the questions, or maybe you forget to ask the advisor. We encourage people When people call us, they come into our office, write your questions down, bring them in. When people meet with them, I always say, hide your checkbook, hide your wallet. You cannot do business with me. Today, let's get to understand each other. Let's see if I can be of help. Perhaps you have an advisor you've had for 10, 15, 20 years. He might or she might be the best advisor in the world just for you. But there's something out there that maybe you should just get a second opinion. I promise you, if you had that pain in your hip for a long time, you might want to get a second opinion. And if you don't want to get that surgery, maybe you get a third opinion. By putting things on the shelf, you're putting or procrastinating, pushing things away. As we started one of the shows before, we spoke about diversifying your portfolio by using alternative investments, by paying attention to your taxes, Alex, you brought up today, and by paying attention to the legal documents. Is my estate of affairs in order? I promise you, after talking to a client today, they got their power of attorney as they head out to a trip tomorrow, and they're going to be going overseas. What better advice to get? Get your ducks in a row. Get all of your stuff out to your advisor. He or she should be answering these questions. Otherwise, you're stuck in the mousetrap.
Final message for the folks today, Scott.
Right now, procrastination, as I mentioned a second ago, it's a habit for many people. It's like going to the dentist and you have to have that tooth pulled, but that nagging pain. And until that pain gets sharp enough, you get taken care of. But those of you, don't wait till the pain gets too strong. Put a game plan in place. Put a strategic proposal, a strategic plot or a plan together for your significant other, if you have one, your children, your wife, your husband. Put it down, because there's nothing worse. If something were to happen to you, something happened to your spouse, something happened to your kids, what's the next step? Get some help. I'm here for you. You know, I've been doing these radio shows with WBNJ for so many years. We love being a sponsor of them, and obviously speaking to them often. I can tell you the time we spend together on the phone, which is why we've been on this radio show and station for many, many years, we can help you. 609-488-4646. This is Scott McLean. I'd love to help you, guide you. And by the way, if I can't, I've been here since 1979. I know a lot of people that if I can't guide you, I can send you those people that I know that are reliable, that are honest, that are fair, that will not take advantage of anybody. I can tell you that for sure.
Scott opened up the Veterans Benefit Advisory Group in 2008 to help veterans and their families, guiding them to these important benefits. Again, that number, 609-488-4646. The number for Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And again, a special salute and thank you to all of our veterans.
This presentation may contain information which has undergone regulatory or other significant change since its original recording.
The information on this program is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice and is limited to the dissemination of general information and may not be suitable for members of the listening audience. Communications such as this are not impartial and are provided in connection with advertising and marketing or McLean Advisory Group. Prior to making any investment or financial decisions, an investor should always seek advice from a financial, insurance, legal, or tax professional. McLean Advisory Group and or Scott McLean offer investment advisory and financial planning services through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.
This radio show is a paid placement.
Scott McLean at McLean Advisory Group often talks about the difference between retirement savings and retirement income. It isn't necessarily how much money you have saved that's most important. It's having a steady stream of income in retirement no matter how long you live. Scott has strategies that can help you create consistent monthly income for the rest of your life. He can help you make important decisions today so you can have the income you need in retirement. Having a big nest egg is great, but how will it provide you with the income you need for as long as you live? The number to get more information from Scott at McLean Advisory Group is 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Turn your portfolio into a plan with help from Scott McLean. 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services are offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC.